But I think this is more on being ethical, rather than, and trying to set yourself apart from regular makeup. So that's kind of the path that I really went hardcore into, especially being eco. So it's cruelty-free, vegan, and eco-friendly. The eco is the hardest part. Ellana started actually in 2007. And before that, I had several brands. I was like here and there. And but Ellana was started because I had this customer. Her name was Connie, and she was my biggest customer. She would resell my products like really a lot. Like she was selling my stuff like 150,000 a month already. And yeah, that's kind of how we started together. And I was like, hey, maybe we can do something more. And then she told me, hey, because that was a time wherein mineral makeup was all the rage. And I wanted to make something for her. And let's make something for her that to address her problems. Because I was already like 5 years in the industry then, so I was doing a lot of makeup formulas. I was also subcontracting with a few companies here and there. Subcontracting meaning like making stuff for other companies. Making makeup is not so easy. So it's actually the shampoos, the conditioners, the other personal care, the lotions. There's a lot of people already there. Makeup was something that really interested me because it was harder to make. It was more challenging to make. Pigments and colors, blending was a lot more harder to make in that time. And not a lot of people were getting into it. And the barrier to entry as a brand was even higher. Because before, there weren't a lot of, cosmetic manufacturers. A lot more now, 20 years down the road. But before, there weren't really, you can really count them with your hands. So, konti lang. And that's what I chose to focus on because it was more challenging. And so I wanted to make something for Connie to address her problems. She had morena skin. There weren't a lot of options for morena skin, or people of deeper colors. There were only makeup available for puro mga Western. There weren't even, Korean wasn't even heard of back then. It's a lot of Western brands. Maybelline, most of it. Like, that was hard to match the shade of the Filipina skin tone. So, we were kind of the first on that movement. It was really hard enough to source materials here to begin with, and more so materials that are vegan. Because I wanted to make sure that the products are clean and, I have integrity when we give it to the customers. And being vegan also is something that my parents were vegans. So I was like, I raised that way. And I really saw the value in having clean ingredients, having healthy ingredients in your makeup. So sourcing was a big challenge. So I had to get a lot of stuff outside. And a lot of stuff outside, but not only that, you kind of have to make sure that their sourcing is also clean. So that's another thing, that another level of like you kind of have to make sure that they have their certifications as well. Like each ingredient has those. Kailangan malinis. It's not like it's halal. I mean, halal's a lot more stringent. Like bawal sila magsama. But I think this is more on being ethical, rather than, and trying to set yourself apart from regular makeup. So that's kind of the path that I really went hardcore into, especially being eco. So it's cruelty-free, vegan, and eco-friendly. The eco is the hardest part. It's easy being vegan. You can just, because being vegan is just choosing plant-based ingredients, and at the same time, you can use synthetic ingredients as long as it's not animal-based. Cruelty-free is easy, honestly. And cruelty-free is easy because simply don't test on animals. It's as easy as it is. You can test on humans though. We do have our studies before we launch a product that happens, evaluations. So that's kind of very easy. And nowadays, a lot of people can claim that. But the hardest part is the eco. In terms of what packaging we use, we're the first one actually to introduce refillables in makeup. It's like, what? And I had a lot of pushback of this from the beginning because we were using a lot of plastic in the beginning. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much plastic that we're using. What can we do to reduce this? Because it's really to a point wherein ang daming plastic that we're using. Wala bang konsensya ang cosmetic industry? And alam mo yun, because you're using shampoo bottles, like you're throwing it away. Alam mo yun, like afterwards, you buy another one. You have like 10,000 bottles in your bathroom, diba? And like, what can we do really in order to address this? This is the hardest thing to address. And one of the things that we did was refillables. So in Ellana, we sell, a lot of people question this, we sell the jar separate from the paper refill. Our powders are sold in paper refills. It was unheard of. Like, a lot of people would ask me, paano pinapahirapan yung customer? Alam mo yan? Paano pinapahirapan yung customer? Lagi mo na lang sa jar. At sabi ko, it's like, it's the effort of conscientious act of reusing your jar. Alam mo yan, that you can use this several times. You don't have to throw it away. So it's parang that, it's more of the message rather than, it's more of the advocacy in the message rather than that little effort of refilling is actually, well, it's maybe something that we can do in order to, or our part as women, in order to help the earth. And a lot of people are asking, bakit yung compact palettes nyo are recycled paper? Ano ba to? Bakit papel? Because we were one of the first ones to introduce that. Again, the recycled paper palette here that you can use over and over again. The latest tech on ingredients are upcycled, also towards eco. So upcycled ingredients. So for example, in one of our products, the eye serum, we have the upcycled coffee. So it's actually from old coffee beans that's already used, pressed ones, and this German company extracted it again, and of course did the studies. So we included that in our ingredients for our eye serum, and it's kind of just using those kinds of ingredients. They're a little bit pricey, honestly, because of the process that happened to it. But it still has value in terms of being able to promote that it's eco. So parang ganun namin siya ina-approach. And from the ingredients to the packaging to our lifestyle as well. Our prices are more accessible. We kind of want to approach it that way because as a 16-year-old brand, you're not young anymore. And the values that we have are being championed by the younger generation, being valued by the younger generation. I'm really happy about that. And so we kind of need to be more leveled towards that demographic. That's why we're also addressing accessible prices. I went to Cosmoprof in Singapore last year, and the theme was like everything sustainable, which was beautiful to me because before in 2003 I went to my first Cosmoprof and there was nothing sustainable. There was nothing eco-friendly. And over the years, I've seen the industry like go towards that, and us as well, because before we were using plastic bottles, now we're using glass. With refillables, we were the first ones with that. Still continuing up to now, actually. Moving forward, I mean, we want to really be the eco, the representation of being eco-friendly in the cosmetics industry.